Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast, where we discuss what's happening in the cryptosphere and trading on earth as it is in heaven. Buckle up and huddle on while we dive in and get weird. Here are your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Good afternoon, morning, evening, good new year. Welcome to the year 2023. This is our first episode of 2023. And I feel excited. I feel anticipation for what's coming. Kim and I talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but it's like, there's something coming and I don't know what it is, but there's something coming. And I just feel excited to find out what it is.
The same. I shouldn't be over here eating popcorn and waiting, but that's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm just sitting and waiting for something to happen. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but it's like while you're waiting for something unknown to happen, there's not a lot you can do. You can work on yourself, you can work on your environment, and those are great things, but there isn't a lot you can do to really prepare for the unknown other than just generally prepare yourself to carry more. True. And I think it's like both should be a comforting thing, but it's also an uncomfortable thing because I want to know what I'm preparing for. Like I want to have a specific thing to prepare for. And instead it's just generally like the sense I get is just prepare. Create some habits that are beneficial no matter what comes.
That's true. I mean, we've been talking about this too. We both have been feeling like we need to get our bodies in optimal health to be prepared and able to carry whatever is coming. I don't know what it is. I still don't know what it is, but that draw to do that, like to get my body health in optimal shape is there. So I guess that's what we're doing. It feels like a resolution, but it doesn't. I'm not resolving to do it. I don't know. It feels like this is the thing to do to prepare.
Yeah. Well, and this is the beginning of January when a lot of people create resolutions, and it's generally with really good intent. Like, okay, this year I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And I sort of feel the same way. Like there are some changes I want to make. There are some, even with just our podcast, there's some changes that we'd like to make, things we'd like to implement personally. Like you mentioned, like physically making some changes. It is a good opportunity to start fresh and do something like that. And I think, we talked a little bit about this too, but I think that is really important, is to take the first step in doing something, even if you don't know where you're going exactly or what you're preparing for. Taking that first step is so important.
Do you want to keep talking about that?
Yeah, I can for sure. So I heard somebody mention the concept that they were really they were coaching people in their personal lives and business lives, and a lot of people were just like, I just don't know what to do. I want to make the right decision. I want to make the right decision. And they were dealing with like decision paralysis, where it's like so many choices, didn't really know what choice to make, didn't know what they felt the right choice was. They wanted to make the choice that God wanted them to make and what, was the optimal choice with him. And this person was just really encouraging people to press into yourself and find what the desires of your heart are. And their argument was that it was Yahweh who put those desires in your heart. The desires of your heart are his desires. And I think sometimes we have to like boil that down a little bit because surface level, it's maybe like, oh, the desire of my heart's to have a new car. Like, no, like, you know, boil it down. Like, what is really at the root of that? And I think just spending some time asking yourself those questions, um, I think self analysis can be a really good opportunity for you to really connect with God on what He wired you to do. And
Hmm.
yeah, and that's a lot of what we see in New Year's resolutions is people like, oh, I want to get healthier, I want to meditate, I want to journal. Like individual health tends to be the primary thing that I hear people talk about through New Year's resolutions. And it makes me just think of this like self evaluation is really important. And if you take this time of year to really self evaluate what's in you, then I think you really prepare yourself for God to move with you. Um, and I would say the main point that I took away from listening to this person was God is waiting for you to take steps 0 through 1, and then He will take you from steps 1 through 10. Um, and I just thought that that was really cool because we're at a time of year where a lot of people are taking steps 0 through 1.
Hmm.
And I think the potential for God to do things through them because of that is so expansive.
I tend to agree. I think the concept is very interesting and a bit controversial. Like, uh, that the desires of our heart are the desires of his heart. I think you could have a really great debate about this, like just
Mhm.
really digging in and evaluating what is and what isn't possible. But one of the things I would want to propose, and I tend to be on the opposite side of that argument. So I would tend to argue that the desires of my heart aren't always what his are, because he's led me to do a lot of things that I would never come up with on my own.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I'm not negating that though. But what I would say is if you take that concept and you kind of go with it, you might wind up being able to dig in far enough to find
Mm,
that what is your heart is his heart, and that you're not as disconnected as you might think. I
yeah.
think in the core of it, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So it's not so much a do whatever the hell you want to do. It is more of a, hey, come and realize that you're not as separated as you think you are from the Father.
Mm,
So all of the hard pressing and seeking and crying out, though none of it is wasted, some of it, this is also controversial, might be unnecessary, because what if you're already connected there? And he's like,
mm,
hello, just pay attention.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm telling you the answer you're asking for.
Mm,
Just listen,
yeah.
hear me, know that I'm already in you. Those kinds of things. I think that kind of, at least attempting to shift your mind there and test it with the Lord, could be so healthy,
Yeah.
because I think it takes you from being paralyzed and into a place where you can be propelled.
Mm, yeah. I think that's really good. One of the other points that these people made was when you get into that place where you have decision paralysis, where you just have so many options in front of you, just choose one. Just choose one and go down it. Like, and it's okay if it doesn't work out. It's okay if that wasn't the right one because it's better to have movement than to be stagnant. Like God has the opportunity to do more for you if you're moving than if you're not moving. And I thought that was a really deep statement to just like digest because like how many times have we found that where it's like, oh, like just start doing something. Just start doing something. And we a lot of times want to be so critical if it doesn't work out. Like if it fails, we want to be so critical and oh, I didn't hear God and oh, I made the wrong choice and I'm not worthy. And Like all these things get there, and that, it's potential to take on those mindsets, but the potential also exists to, like, I've heard the concept of failing upwards.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm,
you try something, it doesn't work out for you. Well, take everything you learned from that and stand on it to go again. And then take everything you learned from the next failure and stand on it and go again. And it really is just this, it's a different way of looking at things. And I think part of what has to happen is a disconnection between what we do and who we are. Because if what we do fails and we take that on as we are a failure, that's devastating. But if who we are is rooted in Yahweh, and what we do is simply something we're doing, then it doesn't have to have that same weight. Like you can fail in what you're doing and it not affect who you are.
hmm. That's good. I was just reminded as you were talking about that earlier on, so now it's not gonna sound as relevant, but a couple years ago, I don't know, yeah, a couple years ago almost, we went through this real intense training on rest. And I'm sure, you know what, I'm sure we'll do a series on it at some point, because it's pretty awesome what the Lord can do with rest.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I know I came out of it with was this understanding of a difference between rest and laziness.
Mhm.
Like, and this is going to sound so silly, but the Lord gave me this acronym for lazy, and it's lacking a zealous yearning. Right. So, but when you're talking about this and being like paralyzed and just not making a decision, not having any movement, that's what sounds like that to me. You're lacking a zealous yearning. So even if you're failing up, like you're talking about, you're still moving. There's still like this zealousness, this like yearning to go somewhere, to get something, to do what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's the right direction or not, it's still movement. And so I don't know why that came to mind. It's come up a couple times the last couple days, which is
Mhm.
strange for me because I don't talk about it all the time. But it's that difference between rest and laziness. And it's not laziness to not always be on the right track. You know what I mean? As long
Mhm.
as you're moving, like what way are you moving? Doesn't matter. Is there a yearning there?
Mhm.
Go with it. Right?
Yeah. Mhm. No, I think that's really good. And I just we've talked a lot recently, it seems like, either both on the podcast or personally, about the importance of movement. I know we talked about this with Mark Wilburn when we had the conversation, but it was like, we were created to move from glory to glory. We were created for momentum. And it's how you create that momentum may be different for everybody, but just getting that ball rolling and not letting it stop is so important in our spiritual lives, in our physical lives, in our, work lives, and in everything. Like, I mean, okay, so it's New Year's and people are like, normally the gym is so busy in like January, February it starts to die off, March there's even less, April it's back to like 10 people. And but I would argue that there are a handful of people who stick with it. And sometimes it's just getting that ball rolling for them that was able to impact a change that changed their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was making that resolution that some people think is cheesy or whatever, that really impacted them because it got momentum in their life. Um, and I just think that that's important. I think movement is important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's funny, the other acronym we had, so there's laziness, which is lazy is lacking a zealous yearning, but rest was residing in eternal sonship training.
Yeah.
So it's residing in that training. So
Yeah.
it's that not giving it up after a month and a half and marking it off as a failure. It's like remaining there. You're constantly being trained as a
Yeah.
son. And it doesn't
I
always have to look like doing, but there's
Mhm.
always still movement in that. If you're training, there's movement.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have the mental picture of like a ball rolling up and down like slopes, valleys.
Mhm.
Um and as it gets towards the top, it slows down and takes a little bit more to get it over the hump and then it zooms down again and it's like I think sometimes that's what we experience is a little bit of resistance comes after you start moving and do you reside in that training? Do you reside in that place? Do you remain in that place and keep the momentum going? You'll break through and then you'll go through a season where it just flows. And
Mm.
then it just seems like that's just the way things function. It seems like that is the pattern that I have seen in life. And sometimes it's just that little bit of like, oh, I need some push here. And sometimes it's like really short, sometimes it takes a while, but
Yeah,
you can get there.
true. Hmm. Well, shall we do our market updates?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, things are fairly still. I'm not seeing a whole lot of movement, though it's small movement.
Mhm.
Bitcoin is up 1% in 24 hours, pretty steady over 7 days, down 0.75%, hanging at $16,667. Ethereum is up 2% over 24 hours and completely even over 7 days, sitting at $1,202. The biggest mover is Lido DAO. LDO is the number 39 coin. This is fairly big movement.
Mhm.
It's up 17.5% over 24 hours and 24.5 over 7 days. 6 or 7 days. It's trading at $1.21. Lido lets users stake their Ethereum without locking assets or maintaining infrastructure. I don't know.
I pulled it from their About Us page. Um,
Good
yeah,
writers too.
I think essentially it was just it's a way of staking while keeping your finances liquid. Um,
Got it.
yeah, which is interesting. And it was a pretty big mover, 17% over 24 hours, but I can tell you there was like I 3 or 4 choices that were over double digits.
Really?
So it was generally things were fairly green when I was looking through the charts and low, but there was a handful of them that were over 10% in the top 100 coins. So there are a
Wow.
few things moving.
I just saw one. I was gonna just do an honorable mention. Um, Solana is up 12.7%. I was gonna say, look, there's one in the top 10. They are not in the top 10 anymore. They're the number 18 coin. It was six
That's
months ago
close.
that they were like top 10.
Yeah, and maybe not top 5, but like 6, 7, I would say probably. Like, yeah, they at one point in time they were really moving.
Gosh, that's wild.
But,
Even Shiba is number 17.
the biggest mover in the top 10 is up 8.5%. Like that's there's some good
Ooh,
movement.
that is good movement. You must have refreshed because my numbers are not the same. But I do see, and maybe this is changing still, the number 10 coin is one that I do not know. OKB. Do you know that coin?
I know I've seen it. I'm not super familiar with
This
it,
is like a fresh face in the top 10 coins. It's ahead of Polygon. That's kind of wild. This doesn't happen so much. I feel like top 10 tends to just, they ebb and flow. The same ones go in, the same ones go out.
Yeah, that's true in general. But I think I'm excited to see what happens this year with crypto. I know at some point in the future we'd love to catch up with Herman again because he just got back from some really amazing Bitcoin conferences and meetups. And I just, yeah, I would love to get kind of an outlook on what's going on, because I think the potential exists this year for some big changes within the crypto space. And I say potential because, like with almost anything in the world, it really depends how sons choose to behave, what happens. So there's
Clip
potential.
worthy.
There's potential here.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay.
Okay. One last
Well,
thing. One last thing.
that's what I was going to say.
Do it.
This is our 1 year anniversary.
Woo!
We have been doing Market Mystics for 1 year now. Um, it's pretty exciting for us. I would say we definitely have been through some of those seasons where it's like push through, push through, push through, keep going. Um, and I want to say it feels like to me that we're getting ready. We're cresting that peak, and we're going into a season where it just feels really fruitful. So thank you guys for staying with us on this journey, for joining us wherever on the journey you have. Um, and I'm looking forward to what this year has for us.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Thanks for joining today, guys. Josh, thanks for being my podcast partner for a year. It's an air high
Thank
five.
you. Zoom high five.
Yes. We'll see you all on Thursday.
See you later.
Thank you for listening. Join us every Monday and Thursday as we discuss trading on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to connect further, follow us on social media at market.mystics for Instagram and TikTok, and search for Market Mystics on YouTube and Facebook. If you still need more, follow the link on Facebook to book a coaching appointment. Until next time, see ya.